Let's talk about it. Maura Carney. Maura, I met, I guess it would have been just after her freshman season in high school. Wasn't too long after they had stopped playing for the season. I met her through some mutual players that I was working with. And when I first got her, I would describe her as very timid, very unsure. I guess that's how I would describe it. Very unsure of her abilities, what she could do, uncertain of her ability to enforce herself into a game or put herself into a game and make her the focal point of the game. Her skill level was very limited to a certain extent. There were a lot of flaws that I could tell were there, but it was important for us to make sure that she could see that they existed, or kind of go through the motions and expose some of those flaws that so she could see them. And that's kind of most of how most of our trainings go.
Here we go, let's go.
Maura came to me with the determination of wanting to get better. And that was present from the first day that I met her. And I think that's the drive that she had, throughout our time. Maura is a kid that was determined to get better. And I think what she did very well is she was very consistent. She came to workouts every week with the intention of getting better. She didn't care about the mistakes. She didn't care about the failures. She just wanted to get better. And I think that was the drive all along. Going into her sophomore year, I had a good relationship with Maura. Our rapport started to build. As always, I try to stay in contact with the parents, so her mother and I would have, she would give me feedback from what she saw from games. I would give her some feedback, or probably not so much feedback, but more so a sense of calm, a sense of, and by that I mean a sense of, no, that's fine. She didn't do this well, she didn't do that well. Oh, don't worry about it. So we would have those conversations back and forth, and I have to give her mother a lot of credit because she stuck with it. We would have conversations about, hey, all of the things that we're working on, Maura wouldn't do into the games, or she wouldn't take into the games. If you were to ask Maura's mom about those conversations were always, from my perspective, don't worry about it, it's gonna come. Be patient, it's gonna come. And slowly but surely, Maura started to build this confidence. Maura started to build this, hey, maybe I can do these things attitude. And that all comes from being consistent in the gym. Working through all of those flaws, all of those failures, being exposed to all of that, and not necessarily getting upset about it or getting frustrated by it, but instead having that attitude of, hey, I'm gonna get this. And when I do, watch what's gonna happen. And that, I think, propelled her to do well going forward. Ever since that summer, she just continued to blossom. to now we're looking at her senior year. And it's unfortunate that we don't have this AAU season like we would typically have it, because her stock would just skyrocket. She's just changed so much in that. And I think that's why, that's really what I can say about her. She's just grown so much, just IQ-wise and skill-wise. Maura and I have a really, really good relationship in terms of we can talk to each other about the games. Constantly I'm texting after games, hey Maura, how'd you guys do? And she feels comfortable giving me feedback, and for the most part she does a really good job of assessing what she did, whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether she did a lot of driving, whether she didn't take enough shots. And that communication, that feedback that we have with each other just makes it easier to help her develop as a player. A lot of times when I'm talking to kids that would maybe looking to come train, I use Maura as the example because of the fact that she was that kid that was very timid. She was that kid that was very unsure of herself. And because of what I think was our communication with each other, our consistency in the gym, and exposing those flaws, she just became very comfortable with the ball, very comfortable with her abilities, which by virtue just makes a player grow and grow and grow. So our relationship is just, I love it. I love it. She's one of the kids that I'm very close to in terms of just making sure that we're continuing to grow, making sure that we're continuing to bounce ideas, feedback back and forth of what she may need to work on, what she may need to do, constantly analyzing film and seeing all of the things that we may have done in training that she's now bringing into the games. And sometimes I have to point out to her, hey Mark, did you see what you did there? And then I'll send her a clip of when we did it in training and how it looked in training, and she's able to see that, and that helps a lot. There was a game this past month, earlier this month I guess. They were in a tournament, and Maura did this crazy hesitation type move, and I hate that term hezi because there's so many different variations of it, but it was a hesitation move that we've worked on, and to be honest, it never looked like it did in that game. She just kind of got around, I believe it was kind of coming around one of the screens. She got to a spot and she kind of pulled the ball back, brought her offhand close to the ball, which she never brought it that close to the ball. Her hand, we struggled trying to get her to bring that hand over to the ball. But she did that. Defender goes up, she goes to the opposite side, and I kept watching that film like in disbelief almost that, man, this kid is growing to the point where she's just surprising me with some of the things that she's retaining and then having the confidence to do in the games. The other reason I use Maura as an example is because a lot of times when I get kids, they lack that confidence. And I try to explain to them that confidence grows over time. A lot of times kids will try to come in and then expect to do things, in a couple weeks. Expect to do some of the things that we've worked on next month, 2 months later, and expect them to be masters at them. And I try to explain to them and the parents, listen, this is a process. The more time that we get together, the better it's going to be in the long run. This is a long process. It's not just a short time and we can just become better basketball players. There's steps to it. There's growth to it. And Maura's the prime example of that. From going from freshman year to now just owning her abilities and just continuing to showcase them, and heading into her senior year, she's the poster child of what can be if you actually take the time to put the work in. There was a time this past season that really, really made me appreciate the growth of Maura. Maura and her Jackson Liberty team had won their state playoff game, first game. They go on to the second round. And in that second round, they were to face the number 1 seed in their group, which happened to be Red Bank Regional. The night before the game, I was with Maura. We were watching, I think it was at Jackson Memorial. We were watching Christina Donza and some of the other girls from the Jackson Memorial team. And we kind of talked about that game. And she said to me, she told me who they were playing, and she kind of had this smirk on her face as if they didn't have a chance. And I said to you, I said, Maura, why would you even feel that way? She said, I don't know, they're like number 1, something along those lines. And I said, Maura, you have grown so much, and you of all people should know that you can do anything that you want to. So if you go in with a mindset of, hey, we're gonna lose, there's no way you have, absolutely right, you absolutely have no chance. And the funny part is that, I'm almost ashamed to admit this, but I honestly didn't think they were going to do it. I believed that she was going to have a good game. I believed that there were a lot of pieces around her that would make for a really good game. But I was uncertain myself, and that's one thing that I actually regret. I've got to have more faith and more belief in that. But I remember the next day, I didn't make it to the game, but I get a text maybe 3/4 of the way through, and all the text said was, "Oh my God." And I knew what it was. Like, I knew what the text was saying without too much. And so I hit them back and say, "Hey, what's going on? What happened?" And they say, Maura went crazy and they knocked off the number 1 seed. And at that moment, I went nuts. Like, just almost like full circle. Like, all of this is coming together for this kid. She's believing in herself. Her confidence level is through the roof, and everything is kind of leaning in her direction in terms of exactly what I told her the night before. You can do anything as long as you believe that you can do it. There's something about Maura that's really special. And I can't really put a finger on exactly what it is, but if somebody were to ask me, does she have it? The answer would be yes. But not knowing what that it is the mystery. I think there's so much encapsulated in that it factor. Her willingness to just improve, her IQ, her determination to just carry her team, lead her team, and all of those other things that you would want in a player to help carry your team. And I think that's what it is, and she has it. And going forward, I know that she's going to do some amazing things. Just from being around her all the time, and just seeing where her willpower can take her, where her determination can take her. And again, that mindset of, I can do it as long as I put my mind to it. I know it's cliche to say that, but I know that she believes it, and she's determined to do anything.